Our Polish saint of the month is Blessed Marcelina Darowska. In Polish, Błogosławiona Marcelina Darowska. Her feast day was January the 5th, and she lived from the 16th of January 1827 to the 5th of January 1911. Marcelina Kotovich was born to noble Szlachta landowners in Szulaki, in modern-day Ukraine, during a tumultuous time for Poland. This tumult would mirror that of her early life and infer her sense of patriotism and religious conviction. Known for her piety from a young age, she had desired to enter religious life, yet Marcelina was pressured to marry and start a family. Having helped to run her parents' estate from her teenage years, she also possessed a practical and intelligent mind. She married Karol Wericha Darowski in 1848, and the couple had two children, named Józef and Karolina. They honeymooned at Częstochowa, near the famous Jasna monastery, where she obtained an icon of the Black Madonna that she carried throughout her life. Tragically, after only 3 years into married life, Karol died of typhus, and their son Józef also died 2 years later. Grief-stricken, Marcelina was sent abroad to Western Europe for treatment of her physical and mental health. While in Rome, she made an Ignatian retreat and encountered transformative spiritual direction from two resurrectionist priests. Moved by these experiences, she eventually took vows and resolved to found a religious congregation under the patronage of the Immaculate Conception. Today, these sisters are known in Polish as Niepokolanki. The mission of the congregation would be to work for the education of girls infused with a hope for the eventual rebirth of Poland. Founding the first of these schools in 1863 in southern Podolia in the Austrian partition, Marcelina would work on this mission during her 50-year term as Mother Superior, founding several convents and schools. Her tumultuous vocation put her at odds with her family and her surviving daughter, the two only being reconciled shortly before Marcelina's death. Records of her spiritual life contain dramatic mystical highs, as well as the devastating lows of the dark night of the soul. She is considered one of Poland's modern mystics and was beatified by Pope John Paul II in 1996. Reflection. None of us, no matter if we are born rich or poor, escape experiences of sadness in life. It is a tragic fact that those who know us and love us the most, namely our family and friends, are often the source of this pain. Some of us can also have this pain compounded by the situations we find ourselves living in due to outside factors. For Blessed Marcelina, the reality of partition Poland made the specter of foreign domination and interference a constant occurrence. In her heart and work, she nurtured the dream of a free and independent Poland, a reality that sadly she would never get to see. Yet this pain for her homeland paled in comparison to the pain of her fractured relationship with her family and daughter, which ran up against the deep relationship she had with her God. Yet even this mystical relationship, of which she wrote in such descriptive detail, also contained its mountains of joy and valleys of woe. The dizzying back and forth of her life, spiritual and physical, was also experienced against the backdrop of a success in caring for the poor and disadvantaged around her. Despite her personal and spiritual struggles, Darowska was able to see the social needs of her time and reach out to rectify them. Today in Ukraine, the geographic place where she did most of her work is once again under the siege of a ruthless enemy. Such a threatening force, seemingly hell-bent on the destruction of anything in its path, has run up against a resilient people unwilling to bow down to their aggression. Despite this conflict, many of Darowska's modern counterparts are active, seeing to the physical and spiritual needs of the people affected by the tragedy of war. No doubt, their heroic efforts, invisible at the moment, are likely to come to light in years to come. Regardless of her early struggles, the true legacy of Darowska is in giving an example of light for all of us to imitate, no matter the circumstances of our lives and families. Reflection questions. I think about my relationships with my family and friends, the good ones and the ones that may need work. What can I do to maintain the strength of these healthy relationships, or move outside of myself to address the ones that are not? The holidays can be a painful time for those suffering from a loss of companionship or family, yet they also often bring out the best in people. What can I do this holiday season, and always, in order to help those most vulnerable in our midst who suffer in body or soul? When confronted with intense personal tragedies or situations, many of our first thoughts don't usually turn to prayer or religious life like Marcelina Darowska. How can I work to keep this in mind, especially when life is most difficult? Prayer, Modlitva. God, who through the life of Blessed Marcelina Darowska showed us a model of complete devotion and trust to you alone, graciously grant that the Church may rejoice in her elevation to the ranks of saints, and thus discover ever more deeply the beauty of the universal call to holiness. Through her intercession, grant us also the grace for which we humbly pray. Amen.